Albert Einstein. Written by Michael Emerson. Deeply hidden things. Knowledge of what is does not open the door directly to what should be. When Albert Einstein was 5 years old, his father showed him a magnetic compass. Watching its floating movement made him curious. What did it mean? Why did the compass's needle stay still while his father turned its casing around and around? At the time, Einstein was too young to understand the answer, but he never forgot that feeling of wonder and mystery. Later, he wrote that watching the compass had taught him an important lesson, that something deeply hidden had to be behind things. That curious little boy grew up to become a curious scientist who spent his life trying to identify that something. By continuing to pursue his curiosity, Albert Einstein forever changed the way people think about the universe in which they live. A talented, curious boy. A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit, and a violin. What else does a man need to be happy? Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in the small town of Ulm, Germany. The next year, the family moved to the larger city of Munich. There, Albert's younger sister, Maya, was born. She would become his closest childhood friend. Einstein's family had a strong influence on his life. His mother, Pauline, played the piano. When Albert was 6, she encouraged him to take up the violin. Although he didn't enjoy the structured lessons, he loved playing the violin. His violin would be a constant companion for the rest of his life. Do you know? As a child, Einstein had a common childhood speech habit that worried his parents. Whatever the young Einstein said aloud, he would often repeat to himself in a very quiet voice, as if rechecking his words to see if they sounded right. Eventually, he outgrew this habit and became an accomplished public speaker. Other family influences also shaped his future. Einstein's father and two of his uncles were electrical engineers. They introduced Einstein to math and science at an early age and taught him the basics of algebra by making it into a game. A family friend brought him science books. Einstein would pore over the books for hours at a time. He especially liked a book about geometry. Even as a child, Einstein had the ability to concentrate deeply. He would pursue complicated problems until he was satisfied that he had considered every solution. Teaching should be such that what is offered is received as a valuable gift and not as a hard duty. In school, Einstein's talent for math and science was apparent immediately, but so was his individuality. He questioned the way his school's instructors taught him. German schools, like much of life in Germany at the time, were run with strict discipline. To young Einstein, the teachers seemed like army sergeants who only drilled their students to memorize information and lifeless facts. Einstein preferred thinking creatively. When he was only 17 years old, Einstein was accepted at one of the finest scientific universities in Europe. Once again, Einstein's curiosity about how and why things worked led him to determine his own course. He often skipped routine lectures to spend more time in a laboratory developing his own ideas. Most of his university professors agreed that their brilliant young student might have a very bright future if only he would do as he was told. Imagination is more important than knowledge. The Patent Office. I never think of the future. It comes soon enough. Surprisingly, Einstein had trouble finding a job after finishing school in 1900. He had been a bright student. He had graduated from one of the finest universities in Europe. However, his strong sense of independence and curiosity had made him unpopular with the same teachers who could have helped him find work. A teaching position would have given him the freedom to pursue further study. While he felt the lack of one was a setback, he did not give up. He had ideas that he wanted to think through and test. He just needed to find the time and place to pursue them. Einstein found that time in 1902. That year, he took a job in a patent office in Bern, Switzerland. His unusual job was to make sure that new devices submitted for patent certification worked the way their inventors said they did. The job in the patent office allowed Einstein to do what he did best: pursue his curiosity and question established ideas. On his first day at work, Einstein's boss told him, "When you pick up an application, think that anything the inventor says is wrong." Do you know? Einstein himself held several patents. One patent was for a compass that was not affected by the presence of large amounts of iron. The compass became standard equipment on metal ships and submarines. He also held a patent for a quieter, safer pump for refrigerators. The regular pay and working hours gave Einstein the freedom to work on his own ideas. In his spare time, he met with a group of friends who shared his curiosity about the scientific ideas of the day. They called themselves the Olympia Academy. Their enthusiastic group often met until late in the evening, talking and socializing in cafes or in Einstein's apartment. It was during those years of steady work and strong friendships that Einstein began to develop ideas that would change science forever. The Miracle Year. By 1905, Einstein had worked in the patent office for 3 years. During that time, his curiosity thrived, and he applied a great deal of thought to new scientific theories. He soon felt confident enough in his ideas to share them. Einstein sent papers explaining his ideas to the leading German scientific journal of the time. The journal published the first of these papers in March 1905, and 4 additional papers soon followed. Einstein's first paper explained his theory about the nature and behavior of light. The second and third papers proved the existence of tiny parts of matter, called molecules and atoms, and described how they moved. The final 2 papers offered new explanations for understanding the relationships that existed among space, time, and objects in motion. Scientists were astounded by what he wrote. In 6 months, Einstein challenged the way they had thought about the universe for over 200 years. They were equally amazed that these ideas came not from a professor of physics at a major university, but from a curious 26-year-old patent clerk. As a direct result, Einstein's scientific career took off in many directions. He was energized by the attention his work received from the scientific community and by the opportunities he gained. He received invitations to speak at scientific meetings and to explain his new ideas. The 1905 Nobel Prize winner in physics contacted Einstein to congratulate him. A well-known professor of physics named Max Planck even began to teach Einstein's ideas to his students. In time, 1905 came to be known as Einstein's Miracle Year. A rising star. Einstein continued to work at the patent office until 1909. That year, he finally got a full-time job at a university. Einstein took the job, but then jumped from school to school for the next few years while he searched for the best place to pursue his research. Meanwhile, he continued to develop and refine his earlier ideas. It was difficult work, and Einstein often thought he was on the wrong track. In fact, his ideas were so new and so unfamiliar that he said he often thought he was losing his mind. Then, in 1915, he made a discovery. He finally figured out how to unite his earlier ideas into one system, which he called the general theory of relativity. Einstein's ideas once again excited scientists around the world. Before long, his ideas would begin to reach a much wider audience than he ever thought possible. In 1919, British scientists tested Einstein's theory of relativity by measuring the position of a star during a solar eclipse. If Einstein's theory was correct, the star would appear to be in one position while it was actually in another. The star appeared almost exactly where Einstein said it would be. Newspapers around the world announced the findings. A British newspaper declared, "Revolution in science, new theory of the universe." A German newspaper called Einstein a new celebrity in world history and said his ideas were a complete revolution in our concepts of nature. Overnight, Albert Einstein became one of the most famous people in the world. Despite his success, not everyone was pleased with Einstein. Many scientists had built their careers on the ideas that Einstein had proved wrong. Others did not want to believe Einstein's theories because they would be difficult to test in a laboratory. Some people simply disliked Einstein because he was a Jewish man living in a country where prejudice against many groups of people was growing. Einstein took his criticism in stride. He knew his theories were not perfect. Yet with each new paper, more people came to recognize the importance of his work. The uses of fame. Try not to become a man of success, but a man of value. As Einstein's fame grew, so did the demand for interviews, photographs, speeches, and new writings. Einstein had mixed feelings about all this distracting attention. These demands took up time he could have spent pursuing new research. Despite his concerns, Einstein knew his fame could be used to open other people's minds and to bring his ideas to a wider audience. Einstein used his fame to draw attention to issues he cared about. One of Einstein's most deeply held beliefs was that war should be avoided if at all possible. In 1914, he was one of only 3 scientists who signed a letter opposing Germany's participation in World War I. More than 100 scientists had signed a letter in support of Germany entering the war. Do you know? In the 1930s, Einstein began to publish a series of articles for general audiences titled The World as I See It. The collection covered topics from war and liberty to progress and education, not just science. Einstein actively participated in anti-war efforts. He worked with international groups working for peace and wrote about his anti-war beliefs. When magazines in the United States credited Einstein with helping create the atomic bomb, he pushed back. Although his scientific discoveries were used by others to create the bomb, Einstein did not participate in the project. He actually signed a letter to President Franklin Roosevelt warning of the bomb's potential for destruction. Many of Einstein's views changed over the course of his life. However, his strong belief in pacifism, the idea that violence and war are never the answer, remained consistent. Einstein also used his fame to speak out about inequality. He spoke up in support of fair treatment for everyone. Despite the efforts of Einstein and others to promote peace, Germany moved closer to war in the 1930s. Until that time, the German government had tolerated Einstein and his criticism of its plans. Einstein knew this tolerance would not last. The Nazi Party was on the rise. In addition to Einstein's vocal criticism of Nazi politics, his Jewish heritage put him at risk. In 1933, he left Germany and took a job at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, in the United States. In New Jersey, Einstein moved his family into a house close to his office. They soon became part of Princeton's close-knit community. When out-of-town visitors wanted to know where the great man lived, townspeople would ask, "Are you expected?" This question prevented strangers from bothering Einstein at home. For the next 29 years, Einstein continued working to expand his ideas into new areas. Some people thought his efforts showed he was losing touch. Einstein didn't pay much attention to this criticism. He believed he could develop a new theory that would unify his original ideas with the latest theories. Although he worked hard, he never achieved the sort of discoveries he'd had during the miracle year or with his general theory of relativity. Always in demand, he continued to give speeches, write articles, and meet regularly with fellow scientists. Einstein's influence. Few are those who see with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. Einstein's curiosity led to the creation of many useful products. For example, Einstein's ideas about the nature and behavior of light led scientists to develop new ways to control light. These technologies led to television cameras, remote controls for home electronics, and flat screen computers. Einstein was also the first person to think of laser light. This technology is now used in compact discs, CDs, digital video discs, DVDs, and store checkout equipment. His proof of the existence of atoms and molecules led to the creation or improvement of a wide range of everyday products. Those products include shaving cream, toothpaste, computers, and portable phones. Einstein's scientific ideas continue to influence new theories. Current ideas about the origins of the universe, the nature of space, and strange objects called black holes are all the result of Einstein's work. A life well lived. Einstein once said, "The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is enough to try to understand a little of this mystery every day." Until his death on April 18, 1955, Einstein's curiosity led him to work to understand nature's greatest mysteries. In doing so, he changed the way people think about time, space, energy, and matter, the foundations of the universe.
Good job.